Greetings friends, and welcome to another Classic WoW Hunter video. I'm your host Zera, and today we'll be talking about add-ons, macros, user interface, and weak auras. So without any further ado, let's roll into that video. Alright, so here I am chilling in Silthus, and this really stems from a lot of people in my YouTube comment section, and especially on the stream. By the way, if you want to come check out the stream, twitch.tv/saltyzera. I stream most days of the week. And here's the thing. What works for me might not necessarily work for you. I mean, let's just preface by saying that. But if you're curious, I'm going to leave a link to the Discord, which you can check out, the True Shot Brigade. And I have a list of all the add-ons, weak auras, macros, and more that I use in this video. Now, to start with, I'll just go ahead and kind of swiftly go through my add-ons here. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory. Atlas Loot is big. Auctionator is pretty big. Or excuse me, I don't know if it's Auctioneer. Yeah, it's Auctioneer, not Auctionator. Auctioneer for Classic is really, really nice. Bag Brother is really nice. Bag Non-Bag Brother is really, really nice. Blizz Move is the one that allows me to move all the Blizzard in-game Blizzard windows, which is really, really nice. And, of course, there's Classic Loot Assistant, Details. Dominoes is what I use to configure my bars. And then, of course, I have my own custom-made tracking that allows me to hide the tracking on my minimap. That way my minimap is very, very clean and minimal. I've got Item Rack. And then Leetrix Maps, Leetrix Plus. These are kind of like Nova World Buffs. These are kind of a must-have for Classic WoW. Opie is really, really nice. That's the one that allows me to open up a circle, and I can basically put whatever I want in there. It could be tracking, could be professions, it could be a list of macros, could be whatever you want it to be. RC Loot Council is mandatory because I'm a member of Loot Council. Dexy Map is really nice. That's how I'm able to get my map down here, get the coordinates, and make it look so clean and minimal. And of course, Shadow Unit Frames is what I use for my most of my unit frames. This here for my pet is actually a weak aura, and I'll show you that in a minute. Stubby and Swatter, I'm not really sure what the heck these are here, but don't know what these exactly do, but you know, they're here. Titan panel, I have these set up here. I have the rest of this disabled. The ones that I don't use regen, I don't use loot type or ammo or bag or volume or XP. So I disable those to minimize, memory headroom. So, and then of course you've got your weak auras, you've got character stats for classic, and you've got DBM followed by Questy, which is disabled because I'm not questing anymore. That is all my add-ons that I'm using. Let me go ahead and dive into the macros just a little bit. These macros are some of these are pretty self-explanatory. Like, for example, the aspects are all the same. It's just cast, exclamation point, except for the aspect of the pack and aspect of the cheetah. This one's kind of unique in the fact that if you utilize the help function in front of aspect of the pack, so if you've got someone target that's an ally, you'll automatically cast aspect of the pack, even if it's yourself. But if you don't have anything targeted, or you don't have a allied targeted, say you have an enemy targeted, then you'll only cast aspect of the cheetah. This is kind of a easy way to turn two buttons into one. It's really, really unique. I really like this. And of course, you've got your @cursor macros, your typical @cursor macros, flare and volley. These are pretty self-explanatory. I like to combine buttons. This is a good example of this. When I use the shift modifier, disengage will turn into distracting shot. Otherwise, it's disengaged by default. Same thing here with the rapid strike or raptor strike, counterattack, and mongoose bite. What's really, really nice about this macro is that it will not physically start attacking until you cast raptor strike. Raptor strike, of course, is completely dependent on your melee swing timer as a hunter, so making sure that you have the start attack after raptor strike is very crucial. I have a shift modifier here so that I can use this same button for arcane shot. So again, trying to minimize your impact on your menu and on your user interface is really important. So I like to combine buttons that have similar cooldowns. This is a auto shot macro that allows me to show my arrow count. Now normally when I'm in raids, I'm usually rocking thorium headed arrows. So since I'm just kind of chilling out in the world, I use jagged arrows. And this is going to automatically target the enemy in front of me. This is also going to, if I wanted to activate Devil Sarai with this rotation, I just simply push shift and hit the macro, and then it's good to go. It'll activate Devil Sarai, and it'll automatically cast auto shot. And if the enemy is within melee range, it will automatically start attacking. So this is really, really nice. And then, of course, if the target is dead, then it will clear target and immediately target the very next target that's nearest me. Now, Hunter's Mark is the exact same as this auto shot. Obviously, you don't have the Devil Sarai and you don't have the start attack macros. This is literally, instead of auto shot, it is going to activate Hunter's Mark. Works very, very similar. Now, this is the big pet management one. This is one that a lot of people have been asking for. It's in my Discord. Call your pet, and it'll also dismiss your pet, and it'll also act as a feed pet. So this is a really, really nice macro. This is 3 buttons all rolled into one, and it feeds 2 types of food to pets, you know, the wind serpent that eats mage food, and also to the 3 major types of pets that eat just meat. Now, if you wanted to, say, design this for a bat, it would not be very different. You would just simply need to, instead of, say, pet wind serpent, you could say pet bat, and instead of conjured sweet rolls, you would just plug in whatever type of food that the bat eats, which I believe is fungus. So fungus and fruits, I believe. So this is very easy to manipulate. Just take this out of the Discord, and you'll be able to manipulate this to your benefit. Now, I got to preface this by saying that in order for this to work, this is not going to work the way that typically a normal macro would work. So if I just push this macro, which for me is Shift R, if I push Shift R, it's going to automatically dismiss my pet. All right, so it's going to go ahead and dismiss my pet. And if I push it again with no pet, then it'll summon my pet. If I push it again, though, it'll start dismissing my pet. Well, then how am I supposed to feed my pet? The important thing about this macro is that in order for you to activate the feed pet portion of this macro when you're out of combat, is you have to be moving. So whether you're jumping or you're moving forward, you know, left, right, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're moving, let's say, for example, if I move and then I hit it, you can see that my feed pet macro has begun and the feed pet duration on my pet has begun. So this is a really, really unique macro. It's really nifty. This really cleans up your bars a lot. It just takes 3 buttons and squeezes it into one. It's really, really nice. Oh, and it also prevents you from having to actually hit feed pet, open up your bags, and then hit the food you want to feed your pet. This is all in one swift motion. Now, this Furious Howl, this is just a cast Furious Howl macro. This is really only useful to me when I'm running Dire Maul Tributes. I know you can run Dire Maul Tribute without a wolf, but to me, I found a wolf to be most useful. So this is what I use to manually activate Furious Howl and DMT. Now, the aspects are all the same. This is a speed macro. If you want to know what your run speed is, or your swim speed, or your mount speed, this is a really cool macro. I found this, and it's really, really useful. This works on retail as well. Scatter Shot. This is another useful one. This is basically going to target the nearest enemy in front of you if you don't already have a target enabled, and it will put your pet on stay and put your pet on passive, and you'll cast Scatter Shot. This will prevent your pet from breaking your Scatter Shot early. This is very, very useful. Now, this is a tranquilizing shot macro. This will stop everything that you're doing immediately. This will stop your cast and make sure that you get the tranq shot off and then restart your auto shot. So if you got caught in the middle of an aim shot and you need to cast a tranq shot in mid aim shot while you're in a raid, this will automatically cancel your aim shot, cast the tranq shot, and pick right back up with your rotation. So this is a really, really, really nice macro. This is a wing clip macro, so this is really useful. So I like using this. Show tooltip, start attack. Now, the traps, these are all the exact same. They're designed the exact same, except it's for 4 separate abilities. So how this typically works is it's going to stop your attack. You're going to cast your freeze trap, and if you happen to be in combat, you'll feign death. Your pet will go on stay, your pet will go on passive, but again, only if your pet is in combat will it go on stay and passive. Once that occurs in combat, you're going to have to press this again to lay a trap, and this works phenomenally well. I've never had this fail. As long as feign death doesn't get resisted, this never fails. And if you are not in combat and your pet's not in combat, or you've sent your pet into combat, but he's still getting from where he was to where the enemy is, and he's in mid-run, you can go ahead and lay the trap and he won't stop, because he's not physically attacking something at that point. So it's really, really nice. I love these 4 macros. These are amazing, amazing, amazing macros. Okay, so this is another nifty 2 buttons in one. This is going to combine your revive pet with your end pet. I know that on retail they've basically done this by default, but this allows you to do it in classic. This is my concussive shot macro. This is basically similar to the auto shot and Hunter's Mark. This is just a cast rune cloth bandages on yourself, really handy. This is probably the coolest macro that I never thought I would want. And this is going to allow you, see, normally if I pull Eagle Eye down here and I click it, and then I want to come over here, well, then now if I click it again, it's going to cancel it. So in order to bypass that, this macro is going to allow me to basically infinitely activate this ability. So if I want to just push the macro, I come over here. Look at that. I'm spying on this guy right here. Oh, look, one of the Lord Stones is up. Well, you know what? I wonder how the other Lord Stone's doing. Let me come over here. Oh, look, that Lord Stone's up. Oh, wait a minute. What about over here? What about this Lord Stone way over here? I wonder how that Lord Stone's doing. I wonder. Oh, this Lord Stone's up too. I mean, this is probably the most broken thing I've ever seen in my life. And you can see everything. This is a Eyes of the Beast / Scare Beast. This is a very nice macro. This is a... Basically, if you don't have a target, if you don't have anything targeted, then you will use Eyes of the Beast. If you have something targeted, however, it will cast Scare Beast. Now, you can also use this to spam at the same time, and if you're clever about it, it will automatically put your pet in stay. So this is what I use. I'll go ahead and channel it right here. This is what I use to position my pet in fights like Ragnaros or something. If I want to get my pet right on top of the mob or in Veil before we pull, I'll put my pet right on top. Let's say, for example, that this light post here is a boss. I'll put my pet right where I want him. Maybe I want him right on this ledge. I'll position him right in place, and then I'll spam it real quick, and then I'll jump before the cast finishes. And that way, my pet's on stay, and he's not going to move. Now this is a kind of a useful macro. This is more of a, Dire Maul tribute thing where I can put my pet on stay, and then send my pet to attack something, and then hit the button again, and then my pet will go on passive, and then he'll retreat back to where he was in a stay position, so that if I wanted to do Dire Maul tribute where I send my pet out to attack Gordok, to lure Gordok to charge, my pet will retreat, and so on, and I can just repeat back and forth, and my pet never leaves his little area of influence, and I never have to worry about him coming to me or getting too close to me, because I can keep distance from me and my pet. It's just another useful way to control your pet. This is really, really useful. Weapon swap macro for Azrathul and Roktalar. And you could even take this a step further. You could say equipped bow. You could say, okay, I have Roktalar equipped. Let me equip Azrathul. Okay, I have a crossbow equipped, i.e. I have Azrathul equipped. Let me swap to Roktalar. I have a bow equipped. Let me swap to, Larvae of the Great Worm or Dragon Breath Hand Cannon. This is really going to be handy in the future when I get me 3 really solid weapons. I'm really looking forward to the day that I have Roktalar, Larvae of the Great Worm, and Azrathul all at the same time. This is going to be really, really handy. This is your typical aim shot macro. This is going to cast aim shot, clear the target, and to target the previous target, which is going to allow you to minimize the delay with your auto shots following the aim shot. It won't completely get rid of the delay, but it will minimize it substantially. This is really, really good. There is a variation to this. However, I prefer this variation. If you join the Discord, it will explain everything about the 2 different variations, and you can choose which variation you prefer. Fing Death / Trinket Swap macro. I've combined this to where if I use a shift modifier, it will automatically activate Renataki's Charm of the Beast, and it will also equip my Royal Seal and Black Hand's Breath if I spam it, or if I just hit it once and I don't use the shift modifier, I will automatically, and I will only cast Fing Death. So this is a really, really useful macro. This is basically 3 functions in one. It will use Renataki's Charm of the Beast if I use a shift modifier. It'll activate Fing Death, or if I spam it and my trinkets I want to swap, then I can spam it and it'll swap my trinkets for me. So this is 3 functions all rolled into one. And honestly, I've had way more success with this macro than I've had with any other variation of the swap macro. So if you are still struggling with the previous swap macros, or you're having issues with item rack not swapping properly, please utilize this. I love it. You cannot go wrong with this. And of course, this is my, I'm selling Ancient Leaf Demon Kills on my server. That's my macro for that. Feel free to copy something similar to that. I got this from one of my boys in the stream. Shout out to the stream for helping me get this figured out. This is my rapid fire / aim shot macro. This is essentially going to cast aim shot utilizing the same macro as before with the aim shot macro, but it will automatically cast rapid fire as well. So this is basically a, big DPS cooldown. This is a unique charm macro that I created for your multi-shot. So if you're in PvP, this is where this is going to shine. So you can literally go auto aim, auto multi auto aim. Like, whew, that's going to hurt, man. That's going to hurt a lot. I've got 2 separate Serpent Sting macros, basically, so I can decide when I want to use a rank 8 Serpent Sting, when I want to use a rank 1. Rank 1 is typically what I use when I'm pulling in raids. Otherwise, I'll use rank 8 when I'm out in the open world. The other thing that I want to recommend that people utilize are these weak auras. Let me go ahead and just activate all of them so you can see the ones that I am using. So this is typically what my UI looks like at its quote-unquote worst. Right here, Fiend Death Resisted, this is really handy. You're going to love having this. This is the Trank Shot weak aura that I designed. I'll explain all these in a little bit. This is the range indicator that I have here. This tells me when I'm in, dead zone, melee range, if I'm inside, 8 to 21 yards, 21 to 27, 27 to 35, 35 to 41. This is every single world buff. So this is going to display the durations on True Shot Ore, Grilled Squid, Greater Elixir of Agility, Go-Round Scorpok Asai, Mongoose Elixir, the Uber's Fire Resistance buff, Magic Resistance Pot, a Juju's Ember, Juju's Might, Swiftness of Zanza, Warchief's Blessing, Spirit of Zanza, Songflower Serenade, Tribute Stamina buff, Tribute Melee Attack Power buff, Spirit of Zandalar, Rallying Cry, Darkmoon Fair's 10% damage buff, Fire Festival's 3% crit, Fire Festival's 30 fire resistance, Flask of the Titans, and Flask of Distilled Wisdom. Now, I know a lot of people are probably asking, Zera, why in the world would you need this? Because right next to that, you have all of your buffs right next to you. Yes, that is true. But however, when you see this flooded up here, it's a lot easier to see these moving bars than it is just to see a static icon. So to me, this works really, really well. Now, obviously, you can tweak this. If you wanted to, say, add something, if you're not a hunter, for example, and you wanted to add something like, say, you're a warrior and you wanted to add Last Stand or something like that, it's very simple. You can just duplicate this, come in here, and you could call it Last Stand, and then come in here, and then instead of doing trigger for TSA, you could just do Last Stand, and there you go. Problem solved. This is all my big DPS cooldowns: Devil Sarai, Rapid Fire, Quick Shots proccing from Improved Aspect of the Hawk, or if you're a troll and you have Berserking, this will proc, this will show up as well, and of course, Exposed Weakness from all those 8 of 8 Tier 2 hunters. So this Pet Management one, this is where you get your pet health, and this is actually going to display your pet's health. When it's above 75%, it'll be in the green. When it's between 50 and 75% health, it'll be in the yellow. It'll be in the orange when it's between 25 and 50% health. And when it's under 25% health, it will be in the red. Also, whenever your pet is hungry, then Feed Pet will pop up here underneath its health, and it'll also highlight the icon in orange, so you just simply know, okay, I just need to feed my pet. Boom, the feed pet notification goes away. And also notice that underneath it, you get the feed pet duration, which I think is beautiful. I also have a cooldown window for Devil Sarai and Charm of the Beast. I also have a notification for when I need to reactivate Aspect of the Hawk and True Shot Aura. These are all pretty self-explanatory, but otherwise, I've got a instance reset history. This is what I use for Dire Maul Tributes a lot, so this will display how many hours I've got left, or how many runs I have left in that 1 hour. Now, there's also my flame buffets for my pet and myself. The ones on the left are my pet, the ones on the right are myself. This is for Fire Maul. And then, of course, the one that you're not really going to be able to see very well is the one that gives you the raid mana. I'll put a screenshot of it up in the top left here, kind of display what that normally looks like. But this is really, really huge for those hunters that are your raid pullers, and you want to utilize making sure that your healers are primed and ready in the raid. The one I do want to cover real quick is the Trank Shot. A lot of people have been conflicted with my Trank Shot weak aura. This is only going to occur when two things occur. The boss is in frenzy and your trank shot is off cooldown. This is all this weak aura does. It doesn't announce in chat that trank shot hit or missed. It doesn't announce anything like that, because personally, I've used weak auras like that. I've seen add-ons that do that. Personally, I ain't got time to look in a chat window while I'm fighting a boss. So to me, this is all you need, because honestly, your hunters in your raid should already know who's in what order. So I announced to the 3 hunters, I said, okay, here's the order: Zera, Maniac, Unicorn. Boom, done. That activates, I know it's me. Boom, Zera. All I had to say is trank. Next one comes up. This will not display because my trank shot's still on cooldown. So I don't have to worry about it annoying me. Maniac sees it. Boom, he knows, okay, second one is mine. And then the third one, this will reactivate again for me, but I know that it's not my turn yet. So Unicorn, third, she'll say trank in the chat, in the voice chat, and boom, by the time it comes up a second time for me, I'll know, okay, now it's my turn to go. We dispel bosses so quickly now that I don't think Flame Gore has gotten a single pulse off, like fire pulse off, in like a month. It's kind of ridiculous. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. So that's how this trank shot's designed. So if you see it's not quote unquote working, don't freak out. It's working. Your trank shot's probably just on cooldown. This one on the right though, real quick, I've had some people ask what this is. This is just a reputation bar. Literally, you can come in here and you can tell us whatever reputation you want it to be, and it'll display. Now, we've covered the macros, we've covered the weak auras, and we've covered my add-ons. The last thing I want to talk about is my user interface. Everybody wants to know, Zera, how'd you get this user interface? What's going on? You literally only have like 12 buttons. What's happening? Okay, so what's happening here is that I've literally just taken everything, and there is a method behind this. Everything that has a longer cooldown, like on the medium to longer side, is displayed. Everything else is hidden, and everything else is keybound. And I know all my keybinds. I've got everything memorized. Honestly, if it weren't for the sake of wanting to see a visual representation of where my cooldowns are, I could turn every button on my screen off. Everything. Like, I could turn everything off minus my, you know, the ability to see my trinkets and my health bar and my mana, my pet, and my target and target of target. Like, I could literally turn everything off minus my actual unit frames, and I could play the game. I don't know. I thought maybe at some point, I remember when I was leveling, I had to keep looking up here at the top right at the mini map, and I had to also, you know, look down at my bars, and some stuff was way over here on the left, some stuff was way over here on the right, some stuff was like way over here on the side. I didn't care for that. I wanted to have everything in a nice central location, and I wanted to be able to just, at a glance, boom. Like, I don't typically play way out here. I'm usually playing like, you know, a little bit zoomed in. So right about here is where I'm typically playing. And I like to be able to just like look at my character model, and like while I'm glancing, I can see everything. Especially whenever, you know, I've got something, for example, like my weapon swing timer. Let me go ahead and display my out of combat alpha. So there's my weapon swing timer. These are all medium to long cooldowns. Most of the other cooldowns, most of the other abilities that I have hidden, for example, my min pet doesn't have a cooldown. Revive pet doesn't have a cooldown. Scare Beast has a 30-second cooldown, but very rarely will I use it, which is why it's tied to something like Eyes of the Beast. Eagle Eye, which again, Eyes of the Beast, Eagle Eye, Miss Pet, Feed Pet, Call Pet, none of these have a cooldown. Aspects don't have a cooldown. So why take up, I mean, you're starting to see the point. Like, stings don't have a cooldown. None of the stings have a cooldown. Then, of course, you've got, you know, Hunter's Mark's not going to have a cooldown. Distracting Shot has a little bit longer of a cooldown, and, of course, so does Disengage. But they're relatively short. They're 5 to 8 seconds, and they're not stuff you typically use a lot. Things that are a little bit longer, a little bit shorter cooldown, but use a lot would be Aim Shot, Multi-Shot. Those are, you know, 10 seconds or less, and you use those pretty frequently, i.e. you want to have those around. Disengage, Distracting Shot, not typically used a whole lot, so you can afford to have those hidden and not have to worry about overlapping a cooldown because, again, you use them so infrequently. And the beautiful thing about your traps is that in Classic, literally, if I lay a Frost Trap, well, boom, they all invoke a 15-second cooldown. So why would I flood my screen with 4 different traps when I know that they all have a 5-second cooldown left? So as long as I know my keybinds, all I got to do is, instead of laying a frost trap, if I wanted to lay an explosive trap, all I got to do is hit this button and boom, there's an explosive trap. Same thing if I want to hit immolate or frost or freeze, there you go. All I have to do is look at freeze trap right here, and it's going to tell me when the cooldowns are going to be. And then, of course, Mongoose Bite has a 5-second cooldown, but again, can only be used when you dodge. So, not something you're going to be spamming left and right. And Raptor Strike, again, something that you're not going to be using a lot of unless you're in melee. And, you know, you could, technically, if you wanted to really worry about it, you could make Raptor Strike be part of, you know, this organization. I just preferred having the buttons that I have here. And of course, your tracking is not going to have any cooldowns. Wing clip's not going to have any cooldowns. Like, all of this is pretty self-explanatory. Now, that's how I explained the buttons that I'm showing. And of course, you know, whether you want to use something like Stone Form on here, that's up to you. If you want to say do something instead, like you want to have Raptor Strike down here instead, that's fine. That's up to you. But this is how this is how in my head this makes sense. Now, why is it designed this way? Why do I have it wrapping around the minimap? Well, again, back when I was leveling, I noticed, I was like, I'm always looking up here to the top right, looking at my minimap because I'm tracking a beast, or I'm tracking an undead, or I'm tracking a dragon or a giant or whatever. If I just want to track whatever I want, I can just open up Opie, hit whatever tracking I'm tracking, and say if I'm tracking undead, boom. And then when I'm running around, I just my eyes literally do not trail any further than just right where they're already at. I can almost see like just looking straight at my character, I can see from my peripheral vision what's on the minimap, and all I can see is me and my pet. That's it. I see me and that blue dot that represents my pet. That's all I see. Like, if I wanted to track humanoids, obviously the whole screen's gonna be flooded because I'm surrounded by humanoids. So again, that's entirely up to you. I just thought this design was simplistic, it was straightforward, and it was easy for me to absorb. Like, I'm not having to search all over creation for information. It's all right here in front of me. Now, how did I design this? Well, like I said, majority of this is dominoes. And dominoes is pretty self-explanatory. You just type in dominoes, open this up, you click configure bar, you click OK here, and you can click and drag this whole enchilada. I've got my menu, my bags, my pet bar, and of course a whole laundry list of bars over here, kind of just chilling. Now, this is where I've got all my stuff hidden. These bottom two buttons, right? I've got, all these different buttons. You can see my disengage, my distracting shot, my raptor strike, my arcane shot. All this stuff is over here. This is my weapon swapping. There's all my aspects, min pet, revive pet. And of course, this is my feed pet, call pet, dismiss pet button. Like, this is all just kind of chilling over. Mount, Hearthstone, Eyes of the Beast, Eagle Eye, TSA, and also bandages, wing clip. It's all here. Nothing else is hidden in these three. But of course, I can activate my pet bar. There's my bag bar. There's my menu bar. Like, all this is just kind of just chilling. So they're over here just kind of hidden away. I don't really need them for anything. So you can shift and right click, and it'll just disable them. Their opacity is completely 0. They're click throughable. You don't have to worry about it. Same thing here. This is 8 buttons wide. Button, number 5. It's a little bit bigger in scale by comparison to bars 1 and 2, where they're just literally only one button, one row of 4 buttons. That's all I need. Over here on the bottom left, though, you'll notice these are a little bit smaller bars, but they're transparent when you first look at it. But you scroll over here to the mouse a little bit. Oh, look at that. These are some hidden buttons that kind of just chilling over there. And this is actually typically, if I don't really need the mage food or mage water, I just kind of throw it over here, and now I've got even cleaner bars. But I typically like to have my mage food kind of over here on this bar. But then I've got other macros at my speed check macro, my north and south timers. I've got my C4M chargers, lesser invisibility potions, and iron grenades kind of just chilling over here. That way, if I need them for DMT, I can just click and drag. Usually I put my, grenades in place of my flares, and I put my invisibility potions, and I can put my large C4M charges up here. When I'm done with them and my inventory is empty of them, I bring these back over, and I just drag and drop them right here. And I never have to worry about, doing anything else other than just clicking and dragging. I don't have to worry about dragging stuff out of my inventory over here. It's really simple, really clean. And once you move your mouse, boom, they're gone. Like they're never even there. This is a really simplistic UI. I really enjoy it. just kind of giving you guys the idea, the thought process behind what I chose. And again, I like having my item rack trinket menu here. That way I can just kind of look at it from a glance. I can see, okay, what trinket am I wearing? Because, for example, if I use item rack and all of a sudden I mount up, boom, it instantly activates carrot on a stick, but it also does more than that. It instantly equips minor mount speed increase enchanted gloves and mithril spur enchanted boots. And then as soon as I dismount, it'll automatically equip my regular gear back on. Voila. That's literally the only reason I'm using item rack. I use item rack so I can see what trinkets I'm currently wearing, and I've got it set up to automatically swap out certain things. I've also got my Fing Death Bis. I like to call this my Fing Death Bis. So if I just push Control C, boom, all of a sudden I'm wearing full spell hit gear, and if I wanted to, and now when I Fing Death, I'm going to have a far less chance of Fing Death getting resisted. But if I don't want to do that, I just hit Control C, boom, hotkey, all my gear is back on. This is really the only reason I'm using item rack. Titan panel is where I have got a lot of useful information up here. I've got my location, coordinates, performance, and also repair, gold count, local time, and of course over here I've got a lot of other things like my add-on buttons. Usually these flood your minimap, and as you can tell, my minimap is completely empty. So my minimap, I literally just come in here to sexy map. Of course, how I did that, I just right click down here, right click the map, it'll bring you to sexy map. And I just came to buttons, and I literally went to standard, dynamic, and add-ons, and I clicked everything on never. I don't want to see another button as long as I live. I do have the new mail indicator showing up, but it shows up just barely in between Fiend Death and Scattershot here. So if I just like it, if I know what to look for, I can see it. I know it's there, and I know that that's literally the only thing that that's the only thing that pops up on sexy map. So if I see something there, small as it is, I'll know, okay, I need to go get some mail. No big deal. Shadow unit frames is what I recommend a lot of people use because it's simple, it's clean, it's unique. You can save profiles. If I really wanted to come in here, I could do, I could go to unit characteristics, I could go to global, I could activate all three of these, and then I could, whatever I do here, it will modify all three at once. I mean, you literally cannot, you can't ask for better. Really, all you need to do is get in here, download these add-ons, play with it, find what works for you, and they're really, really easy. I mean, they're really simple. Like, for example, if you open up Domino's, you just click configure bars, and then, of course, you need to move the interface button out of the way. You click OK, and then you can basically do, see, as you hover over it, it tells you. You right-click to configure. You can configure size, column size, spacing between the buttons, padding, scaling, paging. Of course, I don't really deal with paging. I kind of just disable all this. And then you got, advanced. I don't really deal with this. You can enable click-through if you want to, but then fading is kind of useful. Fading is how I got these ones on the bottom left. So if I wanted to do, fading opacity, I could do that. Like, for example, if I come down here and I right-click number 9, you can see that when I go to fading, you can see that its opacity is normally set at 66, but that's only when my mouse is over it. Otherwise, if my mouse is over it, it's completely faded out to 0. So that's how you get this look right here, where when I hover over it, it's kind of sort of lighter than the other bars because it's 66% fade, and then when I move off of it, it's completely faded out. So if you really want to get this UI set up correctly, this is how you do it. So again, if you want any of this weak auras, or if you want any of the macros, you can come check out the Discord. I'm going to attempt, quote unquote, to save my user interface to a file, but I can't promise it's going to work because, number one, it's my profile on my server under my character name. There's a whole lot of defaults that you're going to have to change. So rather than doing that, I will just make as much of this available on the Discord that I can, all the weak auras, and I'll give you a list of all the active add-ons that I'm using currently and where to download it. And also, the third thing that I'll do is the macros. All the macros will be available on my Discord as well. So without any further ado, guys, I love you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so very much for the 4,000 subscribers. You guys have been incredible. We are moving this week, so be looking forward to some vlogs coming in the next couple of days. I'm going to walk you guys through the move. So we're moving to West Texas from West Tennessee. It's going to be a long drive. We got a munchkin, so a 12-hour drive is going to turn into a 12-hour drive is going to turn into a 24-hour drive, so that's why we're breaking up into 2 days. So, because we're going to have to stop the feeder, stop the changer, and yeah, it's going to be exciting. Love you guys as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Zera out.